So we're having a sit down with James Redmond, who's about to MC tonight's show at the Comedy Cow. I wanted to ask you, because obviously you made your kind of name in acting.
Obviously.
What took you into stand-up?
I always fancied it, to be honest. I've been a fan of stand-up since my teens, seeing Billy Connolly, and then Eddie Murphy was the big one for me, and Eddie Izzard, all those guys, and I just always liked it. Always used to go and watch, every other weekend or whatever, I'd see a show in Bristol or Liverpool when I was up there, and just fancied trying it, and I love it.
Yeah. And when you first went into stand-up, what were the kind of challenges that you faced?
Well, I mean, the same as everybody else, really, in that you've got no experience and you're asking for a job. But what's good about the UK circuit is it has this ladder, this hierarchy where you've got, as I'm sure you know, you've got the headliner who's paid X, and then the opener paid about 3/4 of that, same as the MC usually, and then you've got the middle spot who's often paid nothing or just expenses. So, that's where you can get on. And it's good because you can watch everybody else and learn. And often you're sharing cars as well together. A lot of companies kind of organise cars, or 3 or 4 of them do. So you're sharing trips, so you can ask advice and just be around the right people, and everyone's pretty friendly. Once you're off the open mic circuit, which is quite cutthroat, everyone's a bit sort of competitive, and the gigs, the gig audiences are full of, the act's friends, and they only laugh at their friend, and don't laugh at everyone else. And everyone's sort of, slagging off all the big stars, so you'll go to a night where there's 20 different people on, and you've got 5 minutes to do, and you're sitting around, and everyone's talking about how rubbish Michael McIntyre is, and you're thinking, well, I mean, I think he's brilliant. He's not my favourite, but I think he's a fantastic talent, and you must be amazing, you, mate. And then, oh no, you're not. You're just a bit weird. But everyone's a bit kind of like that. Everyone thinks they're a comedy expert first.
And then finds out the reality.
Yeah, and then 100 gigs in, you think, I've died 95 times. It's weird. You do get the odd act. You'll see them who die on their arses and then go, smashed it, loved it. Oh, I can't wait to go back on. And everyone else is going, okay, you did really well, mate. Yeah. But you didn't get any laughs, did you? It's weird.
And that's the key thing, obviously, isn't it? Do you think that, because obviously I've been having a go at the open mic nights, and exactly as you described, you've got 20 people, you've got 5 minutes, they're really, really strict on their 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I found that I'm rushing through the material, trying to get to that 5 minutes. We were here last night and had a chance to kind of slow it down a little bit. Yeah. And that really seemed to help, just taking your time and being able to enjoy it.
It's different, when you go on at a professional night, they don't know that you're new.
Yeah.
They don't know what the hierarchy is or the ladder, so they just think, okay, here's another one who's going to be as good as the last one. So they've invested in you, kind of, emotionally and financially, of course. They've paid to get in, so they're ready for you to be good. So they're not, sitting in the back of a room going, oh, he's not my mate, and I've seen 15 rubbish acts so far. He'll be rubbish as well. Yeah. They're expecting someone better, so it does help. I mean, going back to myself, as I often do. I had a bit of stagecraft from doing acting and presenting first, so that helped me at the open mic nights, because I'd come on, I wouldn't be as nervous as the rest of them. I've seen some brilliant acts, great writers, just fall by the wayside because they just came on stage and were just sort of shuffling and embarrassed and standing in the shadow and not really having the mic at the right level and talking over the laughs that they got, and just, you think, God, you're so good, just slow down, look at the audience a bit. Look confident, and they'll come with you. Yeah, that's really the main thing, is enjoy it.
So tonight you're going to be MCing.
Yeah.
Last night you were here doing a
opening. I was. Yeah.
And what's the big difference for you between the two?
Well, supposedly when you do a set, you're just doing your best 20 minutes or 30 if you're closing often available. So you'll see acts doing stuff they've been doing for 20 years, or they've just done at Edinburgh, so it could be a year old or whatever. But probably less than that. Whereas as an MC, your job isn't really to be funny. The best MC I've seen is Jared Christmas. Right. And I asked him for some advice when I first started, and he said the main thing he's learned is don't try and be funny. All you are is the guy who's their friend, who goes, everything's all right, don't be nervous, you won't get flattened or shouted at. These are the rules, turn your phones off, don't chat. You can go for a wee at this point. The bar's closed. Just tell them the rules.
How it's going to work.
Yeah, and then warm them up. Just chat to them a little bit. And if it's funny, it's funny. But your main job is to make them relaxed. You know, of course, you do hope that you're funny as well. But I think too many MCs go on and try and be funny. Yeah. And the easiest way to sort of do that is to take the mickey out of someone. And often you can lose a room because everyone goes, that's a bit nasty. You know, and they'll forget to do the main thing, which is welcome them, tell them the rules, you know, phones off, face the front, don't talk, the bar's closed, these are the interval times, whatever, and make them feel relaxed. And
you touched a little bit upon people who have been in Edinburgh,
yeah,
that kind of thing. So the whole point of this documentary is that I'm going to try and learn stand-up in a year.
Yeah.
And the goal is to kind of get to Edinburgh
Impossible.
and do a show at Edinburgh. Well, I've been told this, and I'm starting to realise just how big a task it is. But what kind of advice would you give to somebody who's facing that impossible task?
Well, it is impossible because, you know, you'll ask someone like Louis C.K., you know, if you ever get the chance to meet him, I haven't, but I'm sure he would say, oh, I'm learning every day, you know. So you never really learn, but I guess the closest you get to being good at it is when you're gigging every night pretty much, like you are at Edinburgh. You know, the guys there do 4, 5, 6 gigs a day. Yeah. You know, they've got their own show and they go and do bits of other people's shows to promote their own show. And I guess then you're really, you know, being creative, writing new stuff, adding bits to what you're doing. And I guess that's the way. I mean, Mark Olver was one of the first comics I saw live and met in Bristol. And he was saying, he's a great MC as well as an act. He was saying, all you've got to do is comedy miles, just gig as often as you possibly can. And I went with a company called Mirth Control because everyone said, well, most of their gigs are outside London, the critics don't go to them, and you can just learn, and they've got so many gigs. So I signed with them after about 6 months of stand-up, this is 7 years ago, and just did sort of 5 or 6 gigs a week, you know, for no money or for expenses. Yeah. And just tried to learn, because you're growing in the dark then, you're not being criticised, you know, so you can be shit. Yeah. You know, without anyone knowing. And then when you're ready to do an open spot at the bigger clubs around the country, you know, they think you're new. Oh, he's really good, this guy. Yeah. They don't know you've done 400 gigs. Yeah. You know.
So how do you find it as well when you know, talking about travelling around? A lot of the stuff I've done so far has been in London because there's a very busy open mic scene there. Yeah. How do you find it getting out and about around the country? What are the hard things about being a comedian on the road?
Well, I mean, I was lucky that I had some money behind me. I just left a telly job, had some savings. Nobody wanted to do it. So I didn't mind losing money. But yeah, that's the main thing, is that fitting it in with your day job. I mean, most of the comics I know who came through were doing jobs that fit around their comedy rather than vice versa. You know, I know loads of people who said, oh yeah, I was really good at it, but I gave it up because it was just really hard to get around the country. And you go, well, actually you had it as a hobby, really. Yeah. You didn't really. I mean, there are a few acts who've made it like that, you know, but very few really, because if you really want to do it, I mean, teaching or whatever, you know, you can perhaps fit it in. You can leave at 4 and still get to the places.
Occasionally, yeah.
Yeah, lots of ex-teachers are comics, you know.
Well, I think it would, certainly for things like Edinburgh, having the summer,
having
something where
huge,
you can go, okay,
huge,
I can commit to that and spend a bit of time up there.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping it works well.
Yeah.
Anyway, we better go and get ready for tonight's show. Thank you very much for taking the time to chat to us.
Yeah, pleasure. And all the best. Enjoy it. You've got no chance.